Is there a bigger manipulator in Resident Evil than Albert Wesker? Wesker will threaten your family, stick a bug on your chest that pumps you full of mind-altering chemicals, or will just infect you with the virus flavor of the week to make you a diversion for his enemies. Wesker will use just about anyone. People he's supposed to be in charge of, people who believe he's going to let them rule a new world with him, people he's employed. The only person he hasn't really manipulated was his best friend William Birkin, but who knows what would have happened had Birkin survived to Resident Evil 5 when Wesker is at his peak. Heads up, this video will have spoilers for Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 4, and Resident Evil 5. Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Luffy and welcome to my channel. I talk video games and character analysis, so if that's your thing, subscribe and stick around. If you like what I do here, consider supporting me on Patreon or becoming a channel member so that I can continue to bring these videos to you weekly. Today, we're going over all of Wesker's major manipulations throughout Resident Evil, so let's hop right into things. The Traitorous Captain. Monsters have seeped out of the mysterious Spencer mansion tucked away in the Arklay forest and have started to make their way closer and closer to Raccoon City. The news warns Raccoon City citizens to stay out of the woods, and the police have started to put up barricades to prevent people from venturing into the path of danger. Hikers have already been going missing. But what's causing these disappearances? Raccoon City's people are in the dark, but the pharmaceutical company Umbrella knows all about the cause. The T-virus is a bioweapon under development in the secret Arklay laboratory under Spencer Mansion. Unfortunately, it leaked and infected the scientists studiously working with it, and a few of the infected dogs, the Cerberus, have escaped the lab and mansion altogether. Umbrella knows it's only a matter of time before the public catches wind of their experiments and exposes them, which would spell the end for Umbrella. Luckily, Umbrella had the STARS team in the Raccoon City Police Department on their payroll, and so enlists their sleeper agent, Captain Wesker, to clean up the mess before it becomes a catastrophe. Umbrella tasks Wesker with three main objectives. 1. Lure his STARS team out to the Arklay lab where they'll be forced to fight the BOWs running rampant and record combat test data. 2. Collect 2 embryos of all the different types of BOWs being stored in the lab of the Tyrant. 3. Destroy the Arklay lab to get rid of any evidence of bioweapon making in a way that seems like an accident. Wesker is only one person though. How will he achieve all these objectives all while dodging BOWs himself? He'll need an ally to help him. And he finds one in Barry. Barry is a good guy, a family man, and not someone who'd betray his fellow STARS members for the benefit of Umbrella. Wesker knows this though and threatens Barry's family to get him to comply. Wesker forces Barry to do things like lead Jill, another STARS team member, around into dangerous combat situations with BOWs, and eventually has Barry lead Jill right to him as he's admiring Tyrant, the epitome of the T-virus research at the time.
I just used Barry for my personal interests. Though both you and Barry seem to think I was following Umbrella's orders.
Barry isn't the only one Wesker's manipulating in Resident Evil 1. He's also manipulating his employer's Umbrella. Yes, Wesker agreed to their objectives for him, but he planned to take the combat test data and the embryos to one of Umbrella's competitors as he felt he could get a better pay and benefits from them. How successful is Wesker? Not at all. Barry eventually rejects Wesker's threats and shoots him with his Colt. What's more, Wesker barely accomplished any of his goals. Yeah, he was able to get some combat test data, but he wasn't able to get the embryo samples or even effectively destroy all the evidence of Umbrella's wrongdoings. The Arklay lab is destroyed in its self-destruct blast, but the Cerberus that are in the woods are still in the woods, and more bioweapons leak out to infect Raccoon City, spelling the end for Umbrella. For all his manipulations in Resident Evil 1, Wesker accomplishes very little. Killer accessories make manipulation easier.
Wesker doesn't give a damn about anybody but himself.
By the time we meet back up with Wesker in Resident Evil 5, he's moved on from fighting for lucrative career choices and is now jockeying to be a god. Why worry about a great job with phenomenal benefits when you can become a god with power over the entire world? As per the usual, Wesker needs help to make his dream a reality. This time around, Wesker has 2 associates who willingly help him out, Excella and Irvine. Excella is jockeying to rule over Wesker's new world with him.
You'll be needing a partner, right? Someone suitable to join you in your new world? I believe I've proven I'm worthy, haven't I?
Unfortunately for Excella, she's a means to an end, not a prospective business partner to Wesker. Wesker feeds Excella information on the T-virus to give her an edge over her competitors, which works and she becomes the CEO of Tricell Inc. Africa. Obviously, having a partnership with the CEO of Tricell in Africa is advantageous to Wesker. Irvine, Wesker's second associate, ran a BOW trade ring. He sold BOW side projects on the black market for Wesker to help fund his BOW research. Lastly, Wesker has Jill Valentine on his payroll as well, though not of her free will. Jill would rather fight Wesker to the death, but with Wesker's handy new accessory, Jill falls in line and bows to Wesker's orders. On Jill's chest is a pump full of the P30 compound. P30 gives her enhanced strength, speed, and reflexes, which is pretty sweet, and you'd think everyone would want to get in on the P30, but P30 also has an unfortunate side effect. Unfortunate for the person experiencing it, of making its host highly suggestible. P30 is how Wesker controls Jill and gets her to fight on his side, and also how he convinces her to dye her hair blonde so that she matches with him. To accomplish his goal of becoming a god, Wesker planned on releasing Ouroboros worldwide. Ouroboros would decide who was worthy to live in Wesker's new world as a superhuman, and was estimated to cull 6 billion people. Was Wesker's plan successful? Absolutely not. Chris and Sheva swoop in at the last possible second to stop Wesker from releasing Ouroboros. Wesker's associates didn't fare much better than Wesker either, as he burned both Excella and Irving to buy himself more time by distracting Chris and Sheva. Irving gets cornered by Chris and Sheva and injects himself with a sample of a dominant strain of Las Plagas to mutate himself into a monster who's hopefully tough enough to take the duo down. He isn't. You don't see Wesker jumping in to bail Irving out. No, he's on his own. Excella suffers a more personal betrayal as Wesker infects her with Ouroboros. She also mutates into a horrible monster and is used as a diversion to stall Chris and Sheva.
Albert! You said we change these worlds together!
Poor Excella. She should never have trusted Wesker. Jill's the only one to make it out of her dealings with Wesker in one piece, and that's only because Chris and Sheva are able to remove the device pumping P30 into her. If there's one thing you can say about Wesker in Resident Evil 5, it's that he's ambitious. He wants to be a god and is willing to step on anyone to achieve that goal, including his new associates and his old one. For all his manipulations and scheming though, he's unsuccessful and burns up in the lava of a volcano. The one person Wesker couldn't manipulate. Let's back up for a second to Resident Evil 4. Wesker hadn't formulated his plan to become a god yet, but he definitely does want to create a race of superhumans and is willing to sacrifice billions of people in the process. To achieve his dreams, Wesker needs to get his hands on a sample of the dominant strain of the Las Plaga. Ada ends up being the operative he uses, though Ada is the first person Wesker's met that he couldn't manipulate.
You should have known by now, Wesker, that I don't always play by your rules.
Ada doesn't care at all about Wesker's plans and shows signs of dissension throughout Resident Evil 4. When Wesker orders Ada to kill Leon Kennedy, she refuses to do it. So is it really any surprise when Wesker admits he's going to use the Plaga sample to end billions of people? Billions may include Leon. She refuses to hand it over? Ada has always marched to the beat of her own drum. Wesker seems to respect this about her though, since he's willing to work with her beyond RE4 and is how he gets in contact with Spencer in RE5. Your thoughts? Wesker has so many grand schemes throughout Resident Evil, but what is his grandest scheme? I was curious to know what y'all thought, so we took a poll here on YouTube. The majority of y'all voted that Wesker trying to become a god was his best scheme, and I can't argue with that. You can't get much grander than godhood. To those of you who voted that Wesker being best friends with Birkin was the best, you live on in my heart. That's what my heart voted for too. Tina Hare 3856 commented, you know, Wesker and Birkin being friends/friendly is actually kind of nice. So many times you get cold, cruel, and/or psychotic villains with no personal connections in fiction, or in the RE games, like Spencer. But Wesker having friends actually humanizes him, as well as Birkin. He is still in his normal character, but a little bit of depth is added. They clearly both trust each other if they're both willing to let the other know of their defection of Umbrella. I agree with Tina 100%. It really is so humanizing that Birkin and Wesker are friends. Some of my favorite moments in all of Resident Evil happen in RE0 where Wesker and Birkin interact. They have such a fun dynamic. Like this scene here that I have on screen. Wesker covers the mic to argue with Birkin, and Birkin clearly has no place being in there with Wesker, because there's only one chair. Wesker hasn't grabbed Birkin a second chair, so Birkin's just hanging out, not getting the hint to shut up already while Wesker works. And I love the thought that Birkin often intrudes on Wesker and annoys him. Ali Jamal 1993 replied to another comment with, if Birkin did take incomplete G-Virus and joined Wesker, they would have been the best duo. But their relationship would truly turn sour later, and one of them would betray and end with consequence. For example, think of how Wesker would betray Excella later on. That breaks my heart, Ali. But I've also wondered how long a partnership between Wesker and Birkin would really last. Would they eventually betray one another for personal gain? Or would their friendship stand the test of time? Regret2079 commented, his scheme to be the smoothest looking and sounding mofo ever, I think was probably his best, cause hot damn. Yes, Wesker is such a smooth criminal. One of my biggest complaints about the RE4 remake is that they didn't make Wesker deliciously evil enough. Now he's just some guy. I wish they'd let Wesker still be campy. Wesker's goals throughout Resident Evil grow from looking to work for a company with the best benefits, to becoming a god that rules over the new world he's created. Which is just wild. Wesker's willing to step on and manipulate anyone he needs to achieve his goals too. He manipulates his STARS team, threatens Barry's family, lies to Irving and Excella, and brainwashes Jill with the help of a chemical compound. Unfortunately for Wesker, he's foiled at every turn and his plans often fail, despite his being Resident Evil's greatest manipulator. Thank you so much for making it to the end of today's video. If you liked it, share it with someone who wants to know more about Resident Evil lore. If you need more content, check out my Patreon. I upload articles I write on upcoming videos or just thought pieces on video games in general. You can also support me in the channel by becoming a channel member, or join us in Discord. I need more people to talk Resident Evil with. More importantly than that though, please take care of yourself and I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.